Hey everyone! So today I'm going to be making a video addressing a question that I got from someone, and they were basically asking what is and what is not considered goth. For example, what TV shows might be considered goth and things of that nature. So obviously you want to get all technical and stuff. Goth is technically the music, which is the bands that I mentioned in the videos called Questions About the Gothic Subculture, I think I called it. But yeah, things like The Cure and Susie and the Banshees and Christian Death and Sisters of Mercy and all those people. So those are like the really, the definite kind of definition of goth, so to speak, since they kind of started the subculture, even though, you know, like it stemmed from punk and everything. But yeah, goth, getting all technical, is basically just the music. But then of course there is the kind of, aesthetics, I guess you could call it, I don't know, which is a little harder to distinguish because I think that what is and isn't goth if it's not music is really all based on a matter of opinion. For that reason, I can't tell you exactly what is and what is not considered goth. So therefore, I'm going to instead tell you themes that I find are common amongst the gothic subculture, such as movies and books and that kind of thing that I find very popular among goths and generally just alternative people, because I think that's more sort of neutral. And yeah, as I said, what is and isn't goth is probably a matter of opinion depending on the person, and I think that it should also be left up to the person to decide for themselves. But things that I find common is pretty obvious things like, you know, bats and cobwebs, coffins, Halloweeny, morbid, dark things like that. But movies, for example, I find that there are a lot of goths that are into pretty much anything Tim Burton. So Nightmare Before Christmas is a really big one. Edward Scissorhands, Corpse Bride, Sweeney Todd. Is Sweeney Todd by Tim Burton? I can't remember, but I know a lot of goths like Sweeney Todd. Coraline, I think there are a lot of goths that like Coraline. The Crow, like any person that is into the goth subculture the majority of the time has seen The Crow and loves The Crow, and I'm one of those people. I adore that movie. I don't know if it'd be considered goth, but it is popular among the subculture, and that is the movie Labyrinth with David Bowie in it, and it's got all the goblins and everything. I love that movie. But yeah, that kind of dark stuff in movies, and you know, things like movies with zombies and vampires and stuff. Authors that I think are common among goths are people like Edgar Allan Poe. Pretty much every goth has read his work and loved it, that I'm aware of at least. I know there are quite a few that are into Alice in Wonderland, and there's also, many people know of him, I don't think, but Chris Priestley, he makes some pretty awesome books. Like, he has a series called Tales of Terror, and it's basically all these different little dark stories with really cool twists and stuff. I'm actually thinking I might do a recommendation or review of one of his books for you guys sometime when I get one, because I've only read one of them. I'll talk about that in a different video. I know there are a few that read Grimm's fairy tales. Anne Rice is pretty popular. She's the one that made Interview with the Vampire and stuff. I know a few that are into, I think his name is Poppy Z. Bright. I honestly can't tell you what TV shows I think would be considered goth because I don't watch TV. As far as interests go, I know that tea seems to be becoming quite a common thing among goths, which is very interesting. I feel that it's coming almost as common as bats and coffins and graveyards and stuff, which is kind of amusing. So there's that, I guess. I think cult things are pretty common among goth as well, like paganism and Wicca and LaVeyan Satanism, which is actually pretty interesting. I know a lot of goths that do like to walk around in graveyards or just hang out there, which is understandable because I do as well, and it's very quiet. As many goths say, no one really bothers you there, so it's actually quite safe and quite pretty. Obviously there's the fashion, which is things like boots and buckles and stripes and occasionally trench coats, black things, patches and spikes and things like that. That's really as much as I can get out, I think, because I'm sorry if that wasn't enough, but pretty much just to recap, that in my opinion is what I see amongst goths the most that I can think of. But again, what is and isn't considered goth is really up to the person who is viewing it and deciding for themselves, which I think is cool because it creates more individuality amongst us, which I think is something very important to have. So that's it. Thank you for watching, and I hope it was helpful, and I'm really sorry if it wasn't. I did try my best to answer your question. Bye!